Well, I hope you stayed with it, and I hope the people at the Garden stayed with it. I doubt anybody left after what they paid for a seat. This is the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. As the Knicks win a game that will be remembered forever, uh, a game they won in the final seconds, and a game that will be remembered as the greatest comeback in finals history, as they were obliterated in the first half. They were down 29 points at one time. They were down 27 points at the half, and they came back and they did it with defense, which I think they really picked their defense up. Their defense was atrocious in the first half, but there's so much to get through because if I had come down here and the Knicks had lost this game, you would be crushed because the Knicks had so many opportunities in the last minute and they have to win the game. Hart gets the breakaway and doesn't dunk it. I mean, I have no idea why not, but he doesn't dunk it. Okay. A terrible miss. They get a 24-second violation on a Brunson possession where they have the lead. And then Hart doesn't box out, and Castle gets the rebound and makes 2 free throws, and he was great on the foul line late. Uh, we'll get to why the collapse happened by San Antonio. A lot of it was them. A lot of it was the Knick defense. The Knick offense really never showed up at all, except in spots where Brunson made some big shots and OG had an incredible game. And to me now, off this incredible tip, he is the MVP if the Knicks go on to win this series, and he has been terrific in the series. But here's the thing, which they never mentioned during the game, and I don't want to pick on the guys, okay? I'm not trying, this is not meant to pick on the broadcasters. But how can they not mention what Fox did? When Fox got the ball and drove it into the front court, why did he shoot it? There was only 11 seconds left. Why didn't he dribble it out and make the Knicks foul him? They're winning. They're winning at the time. They're winning by a point, 106-105. Okay. Brunson misses the shot. Fox gets the ball. He drives down the floor. He misses the layup. Why is he taking a shot there? He's a veteran player. There's no reason, and it was not mentioned at all from a strategy standpoint or anything during the timeouts. But Fox should never have taken a shot. It made no sense. Why is he shooting the ball there? They're winning. Make them make a play. You're a veteran player. Go to the foul line. The bottom line is make them foul you. Use the clock, dribble it right through and back out again. Unbelievable. He puts the layup up. It gets blocked by OG. But why is he shooting it? Makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. There's only 11 seconds left. A colossal mistake. There were so many mistakes made at the end of this game. And then I didn't like the quick three from Brunson. I did not like that shot. Okay, if he had made it, he's the hero, of course. And then don't even ask me how OG, who is just has just become a remarkable player, how OG makes that tip. And I just have no idea. I really I don't. It's one of the great singular clutch plays in the history of the NBA playoffs. What a game he had. 33 points on 10 for 15 shooting, 7 for 9 from 3. How many big threes, bailout threes did he make in that game? Brunson made some big shots. He also made some big mistakes. He turned the ball over. Hey, he's had a very back and forth series. That's not the point. This is not about that. It's about they won the game. They won the game, and they chipped away. They never gave up. And I'll tell you something. This was not a game where the Knicks just got stupid hot in the fourth quarter and they reversed the tables. They didn't make a lot of shots. Every time it seemed like they needed to make a shot, they didn't. And then they made some really big ones. And I'll tell you, two of the plays that were enormous with the Alvarado layup that made it 102.97 and the Alvarado 3 that made it after the Wemby basket that made it 104-100. Those back-to-back plays by a bench player, okay, by a guy who, listen, you don't know if he's gonna score or not score, okay? The bottom line is he made 2. It wasn't Shamet tonight. It wasn't McBride tonight. It wasn't Clarkson tonight. It was Alvarado who made those 2 huge, huge baskets back to back from 102 to 90 to make it 102.97 and then make it 104-100. He had the guts. He had the confidence. Let's be honest, he had the balls to take shots in that spot where people are gonna be saying, "Why are you shooting the ball?" Well, you know what? That's why he's shooting the ball. One, he looked around and saw Wemby wasn't there and said, "I'm gonna lay it in," and he did. And then he didn't wanna shoot a 3, but he was open and said, "You know what? I'm here." Boom, and knocked it down. And those 2 baskets were absolutely enormous. 2 big misses by Wemby on the foul line. Wemby had a unbelievably bad second half from the floor. I'll tell you what, this game, in my mind, and let's be honest, this was one of the most one-sided first halves we've ever seen. I mean, they put up all those points, okay? They make 14 they put up 76 points. They put up 41 points in the first quarter, 35 points in the second quarter. They make 14 threes in the first half, an all-time record. They are and the Knick defense was bad again. It was not there in the first half. It was much, much better in the second half. But this was a game where the Knicks didn't have to chip away. They had to basically crawl every step of the way. Fall back, crawl, fall back, crawl. But this game to me, the feel of this game to me changed on one play. It was the flagrant foul on Wemby. Because I think it took now he's one and he didn't try to commit a flagrant foul there. That was an inadvertent flagrant foul. He tried a swim move and he hit him with the elbow as he brought the arm through, okay? Even apologized to him. It was not a deliberate malicious act. But obviously when he catches him like that, he's gonna get and we know we could have got one on the Brunson play from game 3. So now he's one they're winning big, and he's one flagrant foul away from a suspension. Now, you could have sat him down for long periods of time. But what happened was he stopped being an aggressive player in the game for a lot of the game. And it seemed like the team just said, let's just milk this game away now. And to me, it just seemed to change the feel of the game. The Knicks didn't come back right away, but that stopped all their momentum. And then the Knicks chipped it to where it was 15, which is right on that line where if the other team plays well and makes some shots, you're going to have a hard time in the fourth quarter. Now, San Antonio was unconscious. They shot 14 of 26 in the first half from 3, an all-time record. They finished the game with 17 threes, which means they made 3 out of 17 in the second half. 3 out of 17. They shot the ball in the first half 65%. They shot it 41% for the game, so you know how they shot it in the second half. They missed shot after shot. They relied on jump shot after jump shot. They relied on bad shot after bad shot. They got very lazy in their offensive approach. And the next thing you know, now they're in a dangerous game. And all of a sudden, when it goes, once it got inside 10, you could see it was going to tighten. And then the next thing you know, it's 99-95, and there's still plenty of time on the still plenty of time. Off that OG3 as a 20-4 run, they are now just 4 points behind. And then things broke so well for the Knicks to where, hey, if Hart makes that dunk, which is going to put them up 1, they might win that game going away. If they convert one of their possessions where they either threw the ball away or got a 24-second violation where they didn't score when they had the lead, they could have put that game away. Instead, they needed an absolute miracle, and they got it from OG on a tip. Just absolutely one for the ages. A bailout for Hart, who had 2 terrible plays down the stretch. Listen, Hart gives you everything he has all the time, okay? Absolutely everything he has all the time. Towns being in foul trouble was a big factor in the game, but again, late, he comes up and makes some plays. He made some big plays, in the fourth quarter when he had to. But what OG did and the game he had, and listen, Brunson's had a rough series from a standpoint of turnovers, from a standpoint of how many shots he's had to take. The bottom line is he made big baskets down the stretch. This is what you ask him to do. All right, he didn't make every one of them, and sometimes he takes or has an ill-advised possession or an ill-advised turnover, and I didn't love the last shot. I mean, maybe their feeling was, "Let's let Brunson hoist it, and we'll try to get an offensive rebound." They felt actively they could maybe get it. I'm sure they thought, "Hey, maybe we'll get a tip." Well, they got a tip, which is why you put the ball up fast. That's always why you put the ball up fast. I talked to you about that when San Antonio didn't put the ball up fast in game 2. And the tip obviously will be remembered and will be glorified and lionized and become part of Knick legends, especially if they go on to finish this. A devastating, devastating defeat for a young Spur team that played almost a perfect first half. I mean, in the first half, you go look at the numbers of the first half, and I think part of it was the Knick defense was atrocious. Wemby had 13 points in the first quarter. In the first half, they put up some of the, I mean, 14 of 26 from 3, 18-2 assists to turnovers. The Knicks shot 23 free throws to the Spurs 6, and they still trailed by 27 points. 7 players made threes for the Spurs in their record-breaking 14 threes in the first half. It was a remarkable first half. The Knicks tightened the D in the second half. Spurs got tight. They relied on fool's gold with the jump shots. They got lazy. They got complacent. And the next thing you know, they started saying, hey, we'll just melt the game away. And the next thing you know, they couldn't melt it away enough. And yes, they did have a lead. Now, somebody's going to have to explain to me what Fox was thinking. Because, and it was not addressed, but the game is 106-105. Okay? Brunson goes to the basket with 16 seconds left and misses that floater. Fox comes away with the ball. Why is he racing up court? Where is he going? Number one. Number two, why is he relinquishing the basketball? They are winning. Shot clock's off. You're in front. veteran player with the ball. Why are you trying to score? Makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. And obviously, they get the ball back, and Brunson misses the 31 footer, and somehow OG makes a tip for the ages, and the Knicks win 107-106. Uh, what a weird game. The Garden was as quiet as you could ever hear it in the first and second quarters of that, especially in the second quarter of that game. Absolutely. I'm sure what they were doing at halftime was checking train schedules and calling their drivers about what time they were gonna get picked up. But one thing you know, and you've learned it so many times with this Knick team, but you've learned it historically anyway, games are never over in the NBA. Now, was I saying the Knicks were gonna come back and win? Hey, they won it by 1 point on a tip with a second left, so no, I wasn't saying that. But they did have opportunities to win it in the final minute and a half. And San Antonio will be analyzing this and will be ruining the day as to where this thing completely unraveled. Because it didn't just happen where the Knicks all of a sudden came out in the third quarter and gangbusters. If you look at the 8-minute mark of the third quarter, it's 81-54. 81-54. You look at the game, and this was key. OG's three at the 6-minute mark of the third quarter cut it to 19, which was a real breakthrough. The question was from there, where could they get to? They had a couple of trips at 15 where they had a chance to get a possession and they didn't get a good shot. And didn't get a good shot to turn the ball over. And it goes back to 20 with 4 minutes left. And then back and forth and back and forth and ends obviously on an OG, what else is new, 3 that makes it 90-75, which is how they go into the fourth quarter. Impossible? No. Is it gonna take some really good shooting? Yes. Did they get that good shooting? No, not right away. They really didn't. You know, so many times it was almost like we're looking for that guy to come in. You know, throw the lob to Mitch and it doesn't work. Uh, give one of the guys off the bench, McBride or Shambert, a shot. They don't make them. Wait, they've made them all year. They made them all playoffs. They're not making them. For the second straight game, Landry's not making them. Okay? And everything's not clicking. Everything's not clicking until they finally get it down to 9. And 9 seemed to be a point where I really saw the Spurs tighten. And they're like, "Oh, no, I can't believe we're gonna actually go through this." And before you knew what hit them, it was 4. And now they know, we've gotta execute. And I'll tell you something, the more you watch this Castle play, you have to absolutely love him. I mean, Harper made some he had 21 points, and he made some big baskets, that were almost backbreakers in the second half. And that Castle went to the line 8 times and made all 8. big free throw after big free throw. Wemby had a bad second half. Fox, I just don't understand what he was thinking. For a veteran player, it just makes no sense. And the three can be fool's gold. And when you make 14 in the first half, you got to figure there's going to be a return to the mean somewhere along the way where they're going to level off a little bit. And they relied too much on jump shots and got into some bad patterns. And the next thing you know, they're not scoring points. They scored 14 points in the third quarter. Remember, they scored 41 in the first quarter. They scored 35 in the second quarter. They scored 14 points in the third quarter. Now, the only reason it wasn't closer is because the Knicks weren't great. The Knicks were still struggling to score. I mean, it was not. It was tough, and really, at one point, it was really only Brunson and OG that was scoring. And realized that this team, this San Antonio team that scored 76 points in the first half, scored 30 points in the second half. 30 points. 30 points. The Knicks, obviously, if you do the math, scored 58. That's how you win by one when you're down 27. And it comes on a unbelievable storybook tip. I mean, what else can OG do? Utterly remarkable. Utterly remarkable. But what was Fox thinking? That is going to be a mistake that is. And listen, I'm not trying to jump the announcers for not bringing it up. They got a lot on their mind, and they were in a million different things, and they didn't go back and think about it. He had no reason to do anything except hold the basketball, keep dribbling. If you want to dribble right through and come back out. Or just take the ball and dribble it out. That's it. Don't relinquish the basketball. You're up. The clock's off. Dribble the clock out. Unfortunately for Fox, just like the OG play is going to be remembered forever, the Fox play is going to be remembered forever, should they lose the series. The Fox gaffe is going to be remembered forever. It is colossal. And at the end of these games, Bill Bradley, when I was a little boy, I read a basketball book that Bill Bradley wrote. It was called A Sense of Where You Are. And that was important for Bradley. And you know what? It is so telling at the end of big games in every sport. Having a sense of where you are and what the play demands sometimes is the difference between winning and losing, utter joy and utter heartbreak. Spurs led this game by 29 points. They led it by 27 at the half. They put up a record-breaking performance, and they go home with a loss. And they had the lead and the ball in the final seconds, and they gave the ball up. That's how you lose championships. But OG had to make a tip. And like I said, should the Knicks go on to win it in 5, win it in 6, or win it in 7? They've got 3 shots now to win a championship. I can imagine what's going on when I go upstairs here. I came down when it hit 0-0, I came down. And I'll go up and watch all the stuff and the highlights and the press conferences and everything else. And the celebrations that will go. I saw some of the celebrities just going crazy. Like, can you? They were probably calling their limo drivers in the 3rd quarter, but luckily enough, they hung around because could you imagine if you were in the front row for this game and you left? You think the Garden's gonna have you back for game 6 if they gave you comps? So, those seats, you kinda stick with it. And then, obviously, in the 4th quarter, you had a reason to stick with it because the Knicks made it interesting and then made it more than interesting and then made it an incredible comeback and then almost handed it back until the Spurs handed it back to them, or an opportunity to them. OG still had to make the tip, and he did. Amazing. You know, it's funny. Sports has been my whole life, and this is exactly why. Because where else do you get something like this? Where else do you sit through this? The utter I mean, I had friends of mine, I won't say who, texting me, "I'm turning the game off. I'm walking out of the building." I said, "Don't walk out of the building." I said, "Don't walk out of the building. Never do that. Turn the game off if you're home, that's up to you. But you know what? Don't walk out of the building." You never, ever know. You never know. And this is one where I would have come down and I would have pointed out the things the Knicks did wrong when they had the ability to swing the game to them, where it was their game and they gave it away. And then the Spurs gave it back and the Knicks took advantage. And now, on a night where you could hear a pin drop in the Garden in the first half, an absolute pin drop. I think out right now, out on the 33rd or 31st or on 7th or 8th, there's a little noise going on right now. Somehow I think that scene is a little joyous outside the Garden right now. And if you were there, you got one to tell the grandkids about. I was there the night the Knicks blah 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 made the amazing comeback, and OG hit the tip, and blah, 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 and Fox did this, and OG did this, and this did it, did it, did it, and that's what makes sports what it is. You never know. You never know. It's not a game that comes down to statistics, except for the fact that you know how much they had to rely on Brunson and OG to score. Brunson scores 36 points on 12 for 25 from the floor. OG scores 33 points on 10 for 15 from the floor and 7 for 9 from three-point land and 6 for 6 from the foul line. He has become a very special player. And although Towns was haunted tonight by fouls again, one thing that you noticed was he was a plus 17 on the floor tonight. When he was on the floor, he was a plus 17. He only took 5 shots. He scored 13 points and had 10 rebounds. He only took 5 shots from the floor. Had a big 3. Hart had a couple of he had his 8 rebounds and his 6 assists, but he also had a couple of really plays that would why he didn't dunk that, I have no idea. And then he did not box out Castle, which he usually does so well. He did not box him out at all. And do not, do not forget the 2 baskets that Alvarado made because they are critical to the story. Because both times they got back up 7. And when that happens at that late juncture of the game, you have to answer if you're the team trying to come from behind. You can't miss there and give them a chance to get up 9 or 10. And Alvarado made the little layup where he looked to see where Wemby was and said, "He's not here. I'm going in." And he made the layup. And then he made the 3. And for him to come off the bench in big spot, and he's in there because Clarkson wasn't doing it, and he's in there because McBride wasn't doing it, and he's in there because Shamet wasn't doing it. And they also wanted him in there because he's a ball handler and he's got quickness, but he's very small, and that's tough against those big guards who just can push him around. I mean, their guards are good. Harper and Castle are gonna be hell to pay for a long time. For a long time. But those baskets were enormous. This is one that if you win it, you're gonna run a million things through your head and think about all the things that had to happen for us to win it. And if you're San Antonio, that play ride is gonna be hell. It's gonna be hell for the coach. It's gonna be hell for their staff. It's gonna be hell for the players, and it is going to be absolute torture for Fox because he made one of those plays that will never go away. What a game. We'll see you later.